So welcome everybody to Malware Club. So today, the main topic is going to be looking at a malware sample using Ghidra, which is a disassembler. Just one announcement before we start that. So we are going to have actually another Malware Club meeting next week. We do normally only do them twice. We only normally do them once every 2 weeks. But since I was sick last week, we didn't have a Malware Club meeting. So just so we stay like on schedule, since we have those rooms rented at the Science Center, so we can just stay on schedule and we don't lose those reservations. We are going to have a meeting the following week as well. So next week we'll have a meeting, and then after that it will be every 2 weeks once again. Probably for that, we're still trying to figure out like the topic and who's going to present, but we should have some updates for you pretty shortly. So the first thing that I just want to do is just have everybody create their snapshots. But first, actually, before we create the snapshots, we just have to download the sample. So let me just show you where the sample is on the Malware Club drive. So let me go to share my screen. So drive, ILAB. So you just go to the regular spot, drive.malware.club. And then it's going to be at the, there is a folder, Malware Club 2/9. And then you're going to go there, and then there is this file. I've already downloaded it, but then so also, if you haven't used the, you probably all know this, but the password for the VApp, I'll just put that in the chat. So the password for the VApp is password1 exclamation point with a capital P, and then the password for the malware sample is the same one you use to sign into this Zoom session. So yeah, so then you're just going to want to create a snapshot, and that so the link for the Malware Club drive is drive.malware.club. I'll put that in the chat. And just to reiterate, you're going to want to be in the VApp. Like, you don't want to download a malware sample onto your personal workstation, because that could compromise your security. You just want to get in the habit of doing that. The malware sample that we'll actually be analyzing today is actually a legitimate tool, a legitimate remote administration tool, but it actually can be used by attackers as well. So let's just get started with Ghidra. So before we get started, so what is Ghidra? So Ghidra is a disassembler. So it will like, you don't have the actual source code of the original malware sample. So you could use a disassembler, which will translate the executable file into like a readable assembly form. A few weeks ago we were looking at IDA, which is a another disassembler. So there are some disadvantages and advantages when you compare Ghidra to IDA. So Sherry, the Flare VM is the one that we're going to be using. We're going to be using tonight. So no problem. Yep. So yeah, so Ghidra, there are some advantages and disadvantages to using Ghidra, compared to other disassemblers such as IDA Pro. The main disadvantage of, I mean, the main advantage of Ghidra is that it is a free and open source tool. So which is a big, yeah. So IDA, you need a license for. So that will just help so everybody can follow along in your VApps because everybody now has the same version of Ghidra. The another advantage to Ghidra is that you can well, yeah, you can so there it also comes with a decompiler. So a decompiler will mean it will attempt to translate the assembly code to like a higher level language. It doesn't have like the original like the word like the original source code, but it tries its best to like translate that assembly back into like a high level language. It won't have like a lot of things such as like the original variables that it uses, or like if the malware author defines function names, you won't have those function names, but it can sometimes help like in tracing analyzing the program. Another the last advantage of Ghidra is that it also offers like a scripting engine, so you can create your own scripts to like automate some of the malware analysis process, which is very helpful. The main disadvantage to Ghidra is that it does not have a debugger. So you won't you'll have to rely on static analysis techniques. Sometimes like it can be helpful to use Ghidra with a debugger, like such as x64 debug or like WinDebug. For now, we're just going to stick to Ghidra, stick to static analysis, just to so we don't yeah. So I am going to let's open Ghidra up. So should all be on your Flare VM workstations. So just opening. So let me just delete this. I had loaded it in before, but I'm gonna delete that just so we're seeing the same thing. So I'm gonna delete the file here, and then I'm gonna load it back into Ghidra. So here is the file. So you're gonna want to unzip that and use the password that I put in the chat. And then once you've done that, you can drag Remcos into Ghidra, and then that will import it. All of these default options are fine for our purposes, so you can just click OK. So then you just double click on the Remcos file.
I was downstairs. I forgot what his name is.
We'll say that Remcos has not been analyzed, so you're going to want to analyze. You're going to want to click yes. You want to analyze it. I checked this one, a Windows PE x86 propagate external parameters. This one I like to check because it will give you like additional information, like it will give you like information as to the parameters that are passed along with a Windows API. So you just want to check that and click analyze, and we'll take a few minutes to fully analyze. Yeah, let's see. So I guess like while we're waiting, I can just like show you the different imports and.
Hey, Eldon.
Yes, Bramwell.
Do you care if I interrupt your presentation and show something?
Oh, no, yeah, go ahead. It's just loading anyway,
So
so
this is a
you have
Windows
time.
one, right?
Yeah, it is.
I thought so. So the version of Ghidra you guys are using is a little bit. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so it's a little bit out of date. You go and get the latest one, you'll see this option right here, where you can go and get the PDBs, and you can deselect the universal because this is a Microsoft. You can pick this one, and you can do remote servers, and then that will go and get it from the Symbol server from Microsoft. So just an FYI, if you're going to be doing stuff with Windows extensively, that might be something worth doing. But that option is not going to be on the version of Ghidra that you have, as far as I know.
Yeah, I did notice like this version of Ghidra, some of the symbols are missing in this malware sample. So that could be
So
why.
that's probably why is the PDB analyzer. And if people wanted to go and get their own, they could go to the Ghidra website from the NSA, download it. You do need to get a more current version of JDK. And there's a link on, if you go to like the tutorial or documentation page on the NSA, they'll give you a few different sources where you can get that, and you can just go and create those. And then when you run it, it'll ask for the path of the JDK.
Yeah, we probably don't have time to do that in this
Oh
meeting, I
no,
would
no,
say.
just
Yeah.
in case people.
But yeah, it's a good idea if like people want to analyze more malware. Maybe that could be like an exercise you could do outside of class, like download the latest version and then see like what additional information you can find in the malware sample. Because one of these imports here, so the MSV CP61. So this one, the symbols don't load. So maybe if you download the latest version, you'll see the symbols and you'll be able to see more of what the malware is doing. So Josh asks, in the current version of PDB, should be left checked. Oh, like in the newer version, or?
No, I was just curious. Using this version of Ghidra, we should leave that PDB option checked, though. Is that correct?
Yeah. Everything that's checked by default, you can leave checked. But I would like check that one that like helps to load in the parameters. Yeah. But
Gotcha.
yeah, that one can be left checked. Yeah.
Okay, and which one was that with the parameters?
No, I don't remember the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Is there somewhere I could find those?
Yeah, under analysis, the left third one.
Okay.
Just click auto analysis at the top. It should bring the same thing back up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's this one here, Windows PE x86, propagate external parameters. Yep. And then all the other ones you can leave checked. So yeah, so the first thing that I'm gonna do here is Ghidra. One helpful thing about Ghidra is it has like a symbol references, symbol references table that will show you all of the functions in Ghidra, as well as the references to those functions, like where those functions are called. So let's take a look at like the different functions. And then, yeah, so here right away, I see create tool help 32 snapshot, and as well as process 32 first and process 32 next. That's all often used by malware when for process enumeration. And it can also be used like for process injection. So the malware create tool help 32 snapshot will like take a like a capture of all the processes on the user system, and then process 32 next and process 32 first are like used to iterate throughout each process in the each process. So then it will usually like select one of those processes to inject into. So that is an indication that process injection might be used, but we'll see later how that's used. Let's go down, see what other functions seem interesting to us. VirtualAllocX. So this seems interesting to me. So that means it's like allocating memory. So let's take a look at like where that's called and what that's doing in this malware. So here we see VirtualAllocX is being called. See here, it's pushing this like a local parameter to here. Let's see what else to find. Maybe if we go up a little bit, it will like give us some more information. We can see here that it's using NT unmap view of section. And that I believe is like commonly used in process hollowing. So you like have a process and then like a Windows system process, and then the malware will like stop that process and inject code, like usually shell code, into that process. And so that's what's going on there, I believe. Then it's loading that function from NTDLL, and then it's basically allocating memory to that function, I believe. Like it's creating a process there, and then it's like writing memory. So that's let's go back to the symbols references table and see what else we could find. Let's see.
Do you know the difference between VirtualAlloc and VirtualAllocX?
That is a good question. Is that, I'm not sure. Is that like related to like the version of Windows? No, I'm not sure.
If you see EX, that means that it can do the allocation inside an external process. It can also do it inside the process itself, but it has the capacity to go and do that into a different process that's not the original process.
Oh, I see. Interesting. So yeah, so that would indicate then the use of VirtualAllocX, that it's allocating memory, like it's allocating probably shellcode, I would say, into an external process. So here we see a function called lookup privilege value A. So that looks like it's interesting to us. So also adjust token privileges. So that would seem to suggest that it's, editing like the privileges on the system. Maybe it's like some type of privilege escalation. So let's go to where that is called. So you can see that's called right here. So here we see a function being called is a lookup privilege values, lookup privilege value A, and it's looking up the SE shutdown privilege. So if we're unfamiliar with that one, you can always look it up in like the MSDN. So look up privilege value A. So it retrieves like a locally unique identifier used on a system to represent the privilege name. So it's like getting an identifier associated with a privilege name. So that is being called, and then that is like being saved into EAX. So then the adjust token privileges is being called, the adjust token privileges function. And you can see here, so local 8, it should be like where the specific privilege that is being called. So basically what it's doing is it's like adjusting the token privilege to give shutdown permissions. So the SE shutdown permissions, it's giving the malware like SE shutdown permissions, which like allows the malware to shut down the system. So let's go back to the functions. Here we see registry, like functions that are manipulating the Windows registry. So that would be, seems like it would be interesting. So let's take a look at the different registry keys that are being created. So in the symbol references, you see to the right, this shows like where it's being called, like where the function is being called.
Can you show them the filter for the symbols?
Sure, yeah.
Like just type the bottom, type REG.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That
sure.
way, if you're having trouble following along, you can just type REG and find what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So registry, reg, create key, and then, yep. And then here, see this one has like 3 different calls. So let's take a look at these different calls. So as we see, the function is being called right here. And if you're unsure what these parameters are, we can always like trace back into the code to try to determine like the parameters that were passed into this function. So we can see that there's one parameter, there's some different parameters passed here. So we can actually just like find references to this function, and that will show you like where the parameters were called. So let's go back and go to references and then find references to this function. And this will show like all of the references to the function. And as you can see here, this shows you like where the registry key, like it shows you that some registry keys are being pushed to the like to the function. So this first one here is shell open command. So it looks like it's opening the user shell, like it's opening the shell on the system. It also looks like here you see event viewer.exe. So it seems like maybe that it's like using the shell to open the event viewer program. See like the other registry keys that are called. Here you see the current version run registry key. And this is a common registry key associated with persistence. So this just allows the malware to survive reboot. So like when the system is rebooted, current version run will run like a specific executable upon a reboot. So that is just so the malware will persist. Here you see with logon, which is often used as another form of persistence. You also see a reference to user init.exe, and it looks here that user init is being run like added to WinLogon. So that means like when the user logs on, the user init program is run upon startup. So we did see before that the malware was injecting code into a process. And as you see here, this is like a normal like system process. But what's likely happening here is that the malware injected code into this process. Like this is where the process hollowing occurred and the process injection. So like the malware author was able to inject code into the user init process, and now they're running the having the user init process run upon login. So that seems to be what is occurring there. Let's just go to see if there's any other registry keys. So that seems to be it. Also, another quick way that you could potentially find like different registry keys is looking at the strings in the program. So in order to do that, you would go to search and then you'd click on for strings, and then you would click search. So this will just give you a list of all the strings. So you can see here that there is another reference to another registry key. So this is the VBox registry key. So that would seem to indicate that like VBox would, to me, like seem to indicate like VirtualBox. And so that's probably evident, like indicates to me that the malware is using like an anti-analysis technique. So it's well, it's detecting if it's in a virtualized environment. And often what malware will do is like if it detects that it's in a virtualized environment, then it will exit the malware, because often like virtualized environments are used for malware analysis. So it's just a way that the malware sample can escape being analyzed dynamically. I'm just going to quickly look through here. So we already saw like the Windows shell being opened. Here there's a reference to the Conversion Explorer window user shell folders. So this just contains like different file paths of like different directories on the user system, like the location of like the user profile and the downloads folder. So that's about it as far as the registry keys go. So I'm gonna continue looking at like the symbol references and see if there's any other interesting functions that we see. Maybe to save time, I'll use the filter like to just search like different functions that I saw before, like when I was conducting analysis like earlier. So one of the ones that I saw was alloc console. So let's look here to see like what else we can find, like the reference where that function was called and what it's doing. So it's calling alloc console. So like what this does is it like opens a console window. Then here it's showing that console window. Okay, so Tanner asks, are the Chrome and Firefox strings attempting to pull login information? And yeah, that was something that I saw before. Like I saw that it was like accessing the Chrome. It was accessing Chrome as well as Firefox. It was gathering like the cookies from Firefox and Chrome, as well as like login information. So it does seem to suggest that it is like trying to pull login, like trying to pull the credentials and pull information from the user's browser. I also did notice that another thing it was doing, it was like clearing the Firefox and Chrome, like the clearing all of the data. So found that interesting. Like I didn't quite understand like why it would be clearing the data, like the Chrome and Firefox data. But there are references, like if you look in the strings, like that it does show that it's like clearing that data. But like go so here it's like showing a console window, and what it's doing here is it's calling a string. This is the con out, so it's just printing that string, the con out string. And then it's just printing some different strings to the command line. Like here it's printing Remcos and then breaking security.net, which is like the makers of Remcos. This is their like the company that creates this tool. Like it is a legitimate remote administration tool. So it's breaking security.net. Then it also like prints the like the version name of Remcos low. So just some like background information that it prints to the console. Let's see. So another thing in the functions that I noticed was it was let's see, get clipboard data was another thing that I noticed. So here it's opening the user's clipboard, and it's getting the data from that user's clipboard. So that is interesting. So it's like because like passwords could potentially be in the user's clipboard or like other sensitive information. So it is collecting that data from the user, like their clipboard data. So that's about it for what I found there. So just other things that I saw were like references to like files being downloaded from the URL. When I looked into the code though, like I didn't see the actual like files or command and control servers that it's beaconing out to. So those could might be like dynamically set by the user, or it could be like obscured in some way. But if we have time, we might run like Procmon just to see like if we can find additional indicators of the malware. But another
And
thing
also, hey, Alden, and if
yeah.
anybody else is like following along and they see something that they want to share later on, they can also possibly do that if there's time.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I might have like a little bit of like an independent exercise, probably in not too long, where you can look and see if there's like anything that I didn't mention that you find, then you're welcome to share that. So I'm gonna go to next thing, and I'm just gonna look at it's like strings, because I did find like a few more interesting things just looking at the strings of the malware. The first one that I found very interesting was like the user's camera. So it's, you see a lot of references here. These are like actual functions that are being called. So let's just take a look at this. So you can also, if you click on this, then it will show you like where in the data that the string is located. So you can also like right click where it says start camera capture, and then go to should be like a references. I can't see it because Zoom is in the way, but here it is, references, and then show references to that to start camera capture, and then it will show you the reference right here. So this is where it's being called. So let's just go up a little bit, see what if there's anything else like around here that is interesting. Yeah, so here it is. It's opening the user's camera. So that is certainly interesting. It is then it's closing the camera. Also see here like get frame, so that's maybe that would seem to indicate maybe that it's like taking a picture of the user's camera potentially, like a frame. That's what I would think. But initiate camera capture. Well, that's yep. So it's calling like the initiate init camera capture function. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So it's collecting the user's camera, like it's recording that their camera session. Get camera frame. And then close camera. So just an indication that it's recording a camera data, like data from the user's camera. So let's go see what else we can find in strings. As I was kind of talking about before, you do see like references to the login data of Google Chrome, as well as the cookies that are being used by Google Chrome, as well as Firefox. So that would seem to suggest to me that it's collecting the user's like passwords and data in Google Chrome as well as Firefox. You see some references to a file here called install.bat. See also set process dep policy. So let's take a look at that. So you can again click on references, show references to address. With the cookie, Tanner asks, would the cookie left be an attempt at bypassing MFA, or multi-factor authentication? It's good. Oh, would the cookie theft be an attempt at bypassing MFA? No, I'm not sure. I wouldn't think so, but I'm not sure. Like multi-factor authentication usually involves like going to like having a user type in like a code on their phone or like a email, and even if that were saved like in the user's cookies, that would like the code would expire. So I'm not sure of a way that could be possible. I'm not sure of a way that would be used. I think possibly they're just collecting the user's cookies to like try to gain like personal information about them. So like often you can have like some sensitive data like located in cookies. Like you could have information like email addresses or other sensitive information. It's probably not good practice to put sensitive information in cookies, but it can be used to like gather data about a user, I would say. And like, yeah, it could be used also to like bypass a user's session. So maybe that's what you mean by like bypassing MFA. Like if it requires like if a website requires like a logon and you have to use MFA, but if they're not checking for like session, like if like sessions, if you could like copy the session cookie, then that could allow you to bypass MFA. So I guess the answer to that is that it could be possible. That is a way that like hackers use like they can collect like your session cookies, and sometimes that will work to like bypass a login. It's good practice though for those sessions to expire like after someone is done using them, but it's not always the case. So so let's see here. So get process dep policy. So first it looks like it's checking see if the user is an admin. Not And then down here, you can see that it's sending the process dep policy. So dep is like data execution prevention. So that prevents like writing, like it prevents certain section, like it prevents a section of the of a file from being like readable, writable, and executable. So that can like it prevents usually like code from being executed in like the data section, but often in order to like exploit a we won't get too much like into exploitation, but that's can be used like to bypass dep is like used in like exploitation, like in like executing shellcode. So it looks like here that the malware is like trying to disable dep. I guess if like the user is an admin, then they're able to disable dep on their system. So that's like what the malware is doing there.
You notice also they're just pushing that, they're not calling it.
Let me go back and see. Okay, yep. So it's yeah, they are pushing this
So that might be parameters for get module handle, possibly.
take a look. Get module handle is
Get
yeah, that's
proc
being
address does
called.
require is a parameter you need a handle for that. So it might
Mhm.
just need that as something that's required for get module handle.
Yeah, yeah, that is possible. Yeah. Um so let's take a look at what else. There was something I saw that was interesting like before about like the user's camera as well, like it was recording information, camera information. Oh yeah, here it is, mic capture. So let's take a look at that. Let's just go up a little bit to see like the other information we can find. Okay, so here's like where it's capturing the user's camera. So and also you can see here that it's seem to suggest that it's capturing the user's mic as well, like their microphone. It is calling like this function that we don't have the symbols for, but this I looked it up and like these are all like function names. So I would seems to be that this is calling this function.
I wonder if it's something like system and you could just, I don't know. I think you're right. It's probably calling them with that function. Those are pushes, but then we see that unknown call. So I
Right,
agree
right.
with your assessment.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say that this is like, yeah, I think it's like load. Yeah, it's like taking that as a parameter and then the name of the function and then calling this function. But yeah, my guess would be definitely that it's executing this function. Okay, start microphone. Yeah, yeah. So mic capture. Um, it's like capturing the microphone. Um, yeah. So that was probably pretty like an overview of like different things that I found. I probably gonna run like Procmon just to get like a more full analysis, like get some maybe like try to find like the if there are any command and control servers. But before we do that, I would maybe give the group about 5 minutes to take a look yourself. You can there are a few different places you could look. You could look at the like I was looking before. You could go to window and then symbol references, and you can look at that like I was doing. You could also do it a little differently, like you could go by imports, so you can look at each of the functions that are being imported here and try to trace them. You could also like look more at the strings, because I didn't cover everything. Like I just covered some details, because there's a lot of details in this malware. So I will give everybody about 5 minutes. It's 6:46 right now. I'd say like 6:51, 6:52. I'm gonna come back as a group, and then we can, if anybody wants to share anything, then you're welcome to. But I'll give you about 5 minutes, and people are welcome to like ask me questions during this time as well. So yeah, we'll meet back at around 6:51. Right, I'm gonna bring everybody back together. So I'm gonna just open the floor. If anybody has anything they want to share, welcome to do that now. Or yeah, if anybody has anything interesting they found.
I was looking through the strings and I found one that said that was like looking for Chrome stored logins and one that was looking for Chrome cookies, and like it had a case where it looked like it cleared them, or if it didn't find them, there was like another case listed under that.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah, I saw it was like I saw the part where it was like clearing them, but yeah, that is interesting. I'm still not sure like why it would be like clearing the stored logins, but yeah, if anybody has any ideas why that would be doing that. Yeah, if anyone has anything else, otherwise probably just what I'll run Procmon just to see. I haven't run that before on this malware sample, so it'd be interesting to like see what if it can find anything else that we didn't find through static analysis. So yeah, I think we'll go do that. One thing you're gonna want to do, you're welcome. You can if you want follow along with me running Procmon. So if you want to do that, well either way you're gonna want to revert the snapshot. I mean we didn't run it, but just just in case you ran it, or you can revert the snapshot.
You need to redo that.
Oh, what happened?
Never mind. I'm gonna have to reopen it.
Yeah. I'll have to I'll have to reshare. Right, so Procmon, gonna run as admin. We'll start capturing events. So you're gonna first want to uncheck that. Go to clear display, edit, and then clear display. And then we're gonna want to start capturing right before we start the malware up. So go to capture file, capture events, and then execute the malware. And we'll just let this run for like about a minute. Yeah, so it opened the event viewer, which we did see a reference to event viewer when we were doing static analysis. So that yep. So yeah, process monitor. It's pretty useful. It can it'll show you like four main categories of events. So you see like process creation, you see registry activity, you see like network activity, and you see file system activity. We did cover Procmon before, but it is very useful. Like you run it for dynamic analysis. So I'm going to uncheck capture events. One thing that I wanted to see was like IP addresses, see if there's like any command and control servers that are being used here. So
I figured out why they do that with the cookies.
oh yeah. Why is that?
So they every 10 minutes they clear the browser cache, and that way the user has to keep logging in. And every time he logs in, it saves the credentials and the cookies. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So, like it clears it, and then user logs in, and then it like say so it's like saving the credentials every 10
Yeah,
minutes.
it's storing the
So, yeah,
login. Yeah, yeah.
got it. Got it. Yeah. Just so it stays updated. I see. Like it gets the updated credentials. Yeah. Interesting. Somewhat like a keylogger. Yeah. Yeah. I think I did see references before that it was like capturing I think it was capturing like keystrokes as well in the this malware. But let's take a look at network activity. Right. So we will want to filter it.
You want
Filter.
to make it bigger.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah. Let's see. File. We zoom. Let's just be able to do. Okay. Options. Anyone know how to zoom in on this?
You looking for what? Filter?
Oh, you said you wanted it zoomed in, so I'm just looking for
Oh, no, you don't need to do that. Just, that's not what I meant.
okay, yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, so let's just filter it on like the process ID. So go to tools, process tree. And then process the go like add process and children to include filter. And then that will filter only on this process. So we can see there is no network activity. And this is like a tool that is used like you download the remote administration tool. So I wonder if like you have to set that up like as a user of the tool. Like it might just not have like a pre-configured C2 because this is like a tool that's used by like a legitimate tool. So you might have to like set up your own server. I'm not sure. So that could be why there's no
And
network
it only
activity.
captures things that are done, so it may have the capability of doing that, but if it's not doing it, it's not going to record it.
That's also a good point. It could be detecting that we're in I did see like a reference to VirtualBox before. I didn't see anything related to like other stuff, but it could be also like detecting that we're in a virtualized environment, and that could be limiting what we're seeing.
Is there any way to
So
get around that?
yeah, there are ways you can like you can actually like change like the different parameters. There are ways to do that. Like if you use a debugger, you can like change different parameters, and that way the malware will execute a specific part of the code based on the input that you give it to like the parameters. That is like a topic that I've thought maybe later in the semester would be good, like anti-virtualization techniques. It also was a topic that our previous president, Micah, did a meeting on. So actually that is up. So you could always, if anyone's interested, we do have like a prior meeting last year where we look into some anti-virtualization techniques. But yeah, so look at some registry information. A lot of the time, like this is just normal. A lot of these registry keys are just like a normal part of startup. But you can also go to like tools and registry summaries to see. But I think right now I'm just gonna focus more on like process activity to see if there's any additional processes that respond. You could also look at the tools and then process tree to see processes that are spawned. Do you see event viewer, which I did see a reference to event viewer before. So what is being done here? You could also go to click properties. Sometimes that will give you more information. Like if it's run on the command line, it will tell you. So this is the Microsoft Management Console. And before we did see it like changing different permissions. So that could be what it's doing here. It's not entirely clear.
Well, that's just the process itself. You can look at the registry. What's going on in the registry.
Yeah. Well, I was
Process
just looking at the
activity.
process activity first, and then gonna look at registry next. Yeah, we can see. We could even like filter on like the process name, and then we let's see. Filter. Have a
And it's getting close to time as well.
oh yeah, it's a little past time. I mean, no, you're welcome if you have other things that you have to do. It probably just 5 more minutes, and then I'll be done. Let's see. User settings. But anyway, yeah, I'll wrap it up here. I mean, the main thing I was looking at was like to see if there were any network activity or like other. There's also file system activity. Maybe I'll look at that very briefly.
Usually Wireshark is probably better at capturing network information.
Yeah, that is a good.
But in this
good one
case,
for
there just
that
may not
specifically.
be anything to be captured. Sometimes it can take a while to you can run Procmon, it can be very valuable, but it takes a while to go through it. You may not find something instantaneously. You might have to comb through it.
Yeah, that's those are all good points. Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question.
Oh yeah, yep, go ahead.
How would you get that network activity? Say I wanted to capture that, would you have to have like another VM or something?
To capture the network activity, you could it will you'll just like run the malware. You will want to like create a snapshot before, but you can just run the malware on that VM, and then you start up Wireshark probably before you run the malware, and then so you start up Wireshark, you create like a snapshot, and then you run the malware, and then you'll get results from that. It can be a lot of, you're going to want to like minimize any other network activity. I mean, you shouldn't be browsing the internet anyway if you're running malware, but yeah, you want to minimize any other network activity. So like to filter out like, so there's not a lot of noise. And then you're going to want to look for like if files being downloaded and like the different servers that it's reaching out to, and yeah, that's pretty much sums it up, I would say.
Does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so thinking about this from a defensive perspective, if we were to find like this type of malware on our systems, would we just have to have our sysmon logs set up to detect if something is trying to reach out of the network when it's not supposed to?
You could like one way is you could like set up an IDS, so that will like listen to your listen on your network interface. It will like have signatures that you can set up, like open source, like they're like open source signatures. Like Suricata and Snort are like two big IDSs. And so you have that, and then that will like listen on your network interface and detect malicious patterns in traffic that are like associated with known malware. And that's like I would say probably the best approach for detecting like network specifically, like network-based traffic. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And we also had a meeting on Suricata, so you could find that in our YouTube. I'll put the YouTube link right now.
If this was ran by a non-admin user, can I ask what would it actually do? Would it manage to successfully pivot and get that level of privilege, or would it just fail and exfiltrate as much as it could?
That is a good question. I would say I didn't see any real like privilege escalation techniques in this malware. So my guess would be that it would probably fail, probably would fail in like anything that requires administrative access. Yeah, so I would say it probably definitely wouldn't be able to accomplish as much as it does. Some malware will make use of like vulnerabilities to escalate their privileges and will be able to become administrator, but it's definitely a more limited in if you're not like an administrator, and if a malware can't get admin access, then it's a lot more limited in what it can do.
Okay, and there was also a string that was listed it's just connected to CNC exclamation point new line. I don't know if that hints that there is this command and control, or if that's what the success message is on their
Can
end.
you share your screen? Do you have that?
I'm on my other computer, but
Oh,
for me
okay.
it's at let me see if I have it here. I don't know if the offset would be different from the same
You can
base,
just say
but
it again, say what it is again, or
it's connected to CNC exclamation point /n. It's a string.
Yeah, that's
So,
interesting. That would
I don't know.
Yeah, so that would be probably my guess, like it would be a string that like once it's CNC, I would think would be, yeah, that is an abbreviation that's used for like command and control. So it's probably like once it's connected, then it will
It's
like
right
print
after
the
that
string.
the init fun call, I believe, released the use of it. There's a lot of the init thing that changed so that it hollowed out.
Yeah, that is interesting. So it does like have probably that means that it has command and control capability built into the malware. It's
I
somewhere.
have the address. It's polextrading.ddns.net at port 1667.
Oh, cool. So you found where did you find that in the malware, that command and control server?
and if you guys find strings like that, what you can always do is you find a string that is telling and informative, you can trace backwards and see what led up to that being called. And then sometimes that can allow you to maybe find something more useful, like maybe you could find more information on the command and control.
It's in the
Yeah.
settings array.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, so that's probably it. I mean, in the file, as far as the file system, it's not really much going on. Like it is writing some bytes to event viewer. Do see that happening. But that's so that that could even be like where it's like where it's injecting a data into a process, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But that is all I have for this meeting. So like I just want to reiterate, we're going to be having another meeting next week, which is unusual, but this is just so we can get back, so we don't lose our like our scheduled times at the Science Center. We are still deciding. The officers are deciding if like we're going to go back to in-person meetings. I'm leaving that up to mostly the people who will be on campus. So we may stay virtual or we may go in person. But we
But
will
if we are
definitely.
virtual, then we're both virtual and in person for new people.
That is correct. Yeah, that's good to clarify. Yeah, so we do also have a Zoom option because we have online students or just people prefer virtual, so you could do that. But we also have we might have an in-person option again. So it will be like a hybrid of in-person and online potentially, depending on what the officers want. So yeah, so thank you. That's it. I don't know, Bramwell, if you have any other announcements, but I think that's all good. All right, yeah, so thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week. We'll be in touch as far as what the topic is.